Is it normal to experience pain in your arms when you're first learning the violin? Well, the answer is yes, it is normal, and it's a sign that you are developing the muscles that you need in order to play the violin. So many of my students often complain of pain in this side of their arm. Now, when we first pick up the violin, we use the left arm in a way that probably we've never used it before. And in order to reach the notes, particularly on the lower strings, we need to shift our arm position around like this, which requires us to move the left arm into a position that brings it around with the elbow underneath the violin like this. Now, this side of the arm can often get quite a lot of pain in it. Now, if you are feeling pain there, that is a very good thing, because you are developing the muscles that you will eventually strengthen enough that you don't even feel it. Now, if you do feel too much pain, take a break. 5 minute, 10-minute break. If you've been practicing for, say, an hour, I wouldn't do any more than that. Take a rest. Sometimes when you sleep, that pain will go away next time that you practice, because the muscles will have a chance to repair themselves. Another way to get through the pain, say if you're in a situation where you actually can't take a rest because you're in a violin lesson or you're in an orchestral performance or whatever, breathing. Breathing is as important for violinists as it is for singers. I really believe that. Now, if you've ever heard the term breathe through the pain, that's what you need to do here. So that kind of breath, a short, sharp in-breath, is very similar to taking a paracetamol that works immediately. I haven't used any painkillers for years, and I actually can't remember the last time that I took painkillers. I completely rely on my breath, whether I'm ill, whether I have a physical problem with me. So yeah, you could be playing and you're going, ow, ow, it hurts, like that. And you will bring a sense of relief to that. It's almost like recharging your batteries to go for another 5 minutes or so. Obviously, you should continue to breathe for more than 5 minutes, but more than once every 5 minutes. But that really does make a difference. Yeah, so pain here is a good thing, especially around here. And if you are new to the violin, this will be extremely obvious to you that this is the one that hurts. Now, when we want to reach the lower notes, say on the G string, there are 4 positions for each string. Well, roughly, it's more complicated than that, but the E string, we can kind of hang the arm down from the violin like this, allowing gravity just to let the arm hang. But if we want to reach the lower strings, we have to change the positions. That's A, D, and then G. So for the G string in particular, this is the most extreme example. Say if you're using 4th finger in the G string, like this, then you will actually need to bring the arm around in order to reach the notes with a suitable hand shape that will allow you to hit the notes with a perfect sort of, I call it an N shape in the finger. Now, when people often start the violin, they hit the notes with the paddy part of the finger, which is quite inaccurate for pitch. The more central to the tip of the very finger that you can hit the string with, the better sound quality that you're going to get, the more accurate the pitch will be. You will find that as well, sometimes the joints want to collapse, but really the one hand position that you want to maintain is kind of like this. And no matter what string you're playing, if it's on the E string, you can do that very easily. You see here the hand can very easily hit that nice N shape like that. But if we're on the G, it's a bit more of a stretch, so we really do have to kind of pull the arm around so that the fingers can come up and over into that perfect nice N shape, sort of 90-degree right angle shape in the finger. If you're finding that you can't make that shape, perhaps you haven't used your fingers in this way before, Then here are some stretches. I love doing this. Stretching is my favourite thing in the world. Just squeeze in those fingers like that. And if you can't quite get there at first, just, you know, work your way in, and eventually it will become much easier. Now that's an aside point, perhaps there's a different video we can do on there. Now when pain isn't good, it's a sharp pain. If you experience a sharp pain, particularly in the wrist area, that is a sign that you're doing something wrong. So a very typical example of when somebody is probably going to experience some pain that needs to be corrected is when they stick their wrist out like this. This part of the wrist can become very, very tense. Now you may have heard this already, but it's very important that the wrist and the arm and the back of the hand and the fingers are in alignment when we're playing the violin. Obviously sometimes there is some bend in the wrist, it's not the end of the world, like we're not perfect, but the general gist of things should be this rather than that. That's a really bad one because it limits your mobility and you can't reach any of the notes apart from the ones that are around here. It's terrible if you want to go into the higher positions. Now this one is bad because it creates tension here, which means we actually, the fingers, you'll notice that your fingers become much tighter. You can't reach the fourth finger because the wrist is too far away from the violin. We want a nice flat back to the wrist like this. Check in the mirror if you're not sure, is it in alignment? And you actually move the elbow, which is the good pain. I've told you about the side of the arm here. If these muscles here are hurting, that means you're doing the right stuff, because you should really be using the whole arm holistically to reach the notes that are harder to reach rather than bending the wrist. If you're bending the wrist to reach those notes, then I'm afraid you're going to have long-term problems in the wrist, and you probably will find that you can't actually move the fingers quickly enough in order to play. The whole arm needs to move holistically as a unit, like that, and it's really these muscles here that do all the work. Good. Okay, if you have any more questions for me about this topic, I'm going to be trying to do as many videos as possible soon to share what I've learned about the physical challenges of playing the violin. I would really appreciate if you can like and subscribe to my channel. I am a new channel at the moment. I'm really looking forward to sharing my content with you, and if you can do that, then you'll help support me and enable me to be able to do more high quality content about the violin. Okay, have a nice day and take care. Thank you very much.